Dear friend, Klal Yisrael is facing one of the most difficult times in our lives. The coronavirus is unfortunately striking many Jews all over the world, bringing unthinkable pain and suffering to so many families. We must storm heaven and earth together at this time. So what can we do?
בכל יום שיבוא, בכל יום שיבוא.
Today, we live in a world where so many people are living in a fast-paced society, totally detached from understanding the true greatness of how everything in life came to be. Let's take a trip for a moment and let our minds wander off just a little bit. Let's look up high above us and think for a moment. How is it possible that a 910,000-pound airplane is able to stay up in the sky with its passengers instead of falling down to earth? And what about our oceans? How is it possible that the water hardly crosses over its boundaries? Yes, storms do take place throughout the world, and we have seen the devastating damage of tornadoes. But still, the waters throughout the world normally do stay within its boundaries and don't overflow? And why is it that we hardly have to worry about a tragedy of oceans overtaking our surroundings? Has anyone been able to see such an earth-shattering scene in their town or their city? No, it is usually not seen, because high above the Creator of heaven and earth, Avinu Shebashamayim, constantly protects us at all times. How do we explain that we are not afraid of animals going wild and overstepping their borders? How is it that we don't see this happening in the streets of our neighborhoods? One reason: Hashem. How beautifully orchestrated is the world that we live in. Day is day, and night is night. But if all of a sudden we would see something so unusual, something out of the ordinary, like having meteor showers as cosmic debris called meteoroids enter the Earth's atmosphere? Yes, we would all be shocked and overwhelmed to feel that something is so terribly wrong in the world. But no, we are not afraid of such happenings, and we have no complaints, because we know as God-fearing Torah Jews that Hashem is our protector, and everything that Hashem does in this world is so perfect. The world is running on course with everything put into its proper place. If only we can see just the small, wondrous, and amazing tiny little things of life. How many trillions of events are taking place throughout the world at the same time and is happening every second of our everyday life? And for all that is taking place, there is a malach in charge for what is happening. There is a malach telling each leaf on a tree to grow. There is a malach telling every drop of rain to fall. There is a malach for every bird telling it to fly. There is a malach for every single fish to make sure that there is enough food not only for them, but for the tens of millions of underwater creatures to survive. Yes, there is a malach that Hashem has appointed to ensure that everything which happens in this world is good. And how important is it for every Jew to open up their eyes to see that world of greatness that Hashem has given us.
Toiv l'hayadais l'Hashem.
ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב להודות להשם
So, when a child is born, do we see the godless, the greatness of that precious neshama? Do we see the beauty of the gift of life? When Jews have parnasa, do we realize where all that money came from? When we live in beautiful homes, do we wonder how and why we were the recipients of such wealth? When we are gesund, healthy, is it because we are simply eating the right things or taking care of ourselves properly? Or do we say, it's teva? It's all part of everyday normal life. And what about driving a car? What's so miraculous about that? It's a natural occurrence. This is the way it has to be. It doesn't look like a miracle to me. Just look out into the streets. The coordination of traffic, it's all man-made. We have the brains and we got the power to create worldwide systematic methods that allows everything to work on its own. So, to all these and so many extraordinary events that take place throughout the world, how do so many of us view this all? Teva. We live in a world where everything goes like clockwork. How did this all come to be, says a non-Jew? Well, it just came out of nowhere. It's magic. It's like a fantasy in a storybook. And of course, the more intelligent person, yes, he will give you only better answers of how the world came into existence. But are they the real answers that we are searching for? And what is the answer of a Jew? Are we not on a higher spiritual level to understand that all that we see in the world was given to us by a loving Father who calls us his dearly beloved children? Or do we say as well, it's teva, it's ordinary, it's normal? It is so sad that many of us do not see the beauty of creation as God's gift to mankind. So, if we do not all realize where everything in life is coming from, and that everything has a purpose, and all that we have was given to us by Hashem, then how can we fulfill our obligations in life? Are we like those who sit back proud and mighty and take on the attitude that all that they have today was a result of their hard work? Do we want to look like those who brag out loud about their false wealth? Do we dare claim that the key of success is only dependent on the sweat and toil of their labor? Or do we cherish what we learned from our Heilige Torah, that all that we have, everything was given to us from a higher authority? Do we not humbly agree that our success comes through the actions and deeds that we lovingly do with an open and generous heart? Is not our Hatzlacha a direct result of what we do each and every day as we proclaim that Hashem is Echad, the only one who kindly gives us all that we need? How many thousands of families are returning to Yiddishkeit because they want to live a life of meaning and fulfillment? Today, we live in a world where Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chesed have reached its highest levels in history. Throughout the world, Torah flourishes like never ever seen before. Tefillah, davening with our heartfelt voices, we cry out to Hashem with the greatest of kavanah every day. Gemilas Chesed, never in the history of Klal Yisrael has there been so much chesed being performed for a fellow Jew in need. Organizations by the thousands are lovingly there, side by side, to help Jews from all walks of life. Hatzalah, establishing a reputation of unparalleled excellence, providing the fastest medical response team in the world. Yes, it is always with true Mesiras Nefesh and with a special love that they dedicate their lives to help a fellow Jew in pain and suffering. So many emergencies, so many tragedies in Klal Yisrael. How many mothers and fathers are pouring out their hearts to the Eibishter, begging for a refuah shalema for their precious children. Klal Yisrael, what you are about to see are zechusim of unbelievable proportions that belong to us, so many Jews throughout the world. Because when Hatzalah rushes to an emergency to save a precious life, it is we who are at their side, saving that child as well. It was we who generously opened our hearts for such a chesed organization to exist. Yes, we are partners forever with Hatzalah in everything that they do. Our reward is everlasting. Avinu Shebashamayim, Olam Chesed Yiboneh. You, Hashem, created a world of chesed. Is not Hatzalah a true chesed shel emes? Do they not represent the highest level of V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha when they save thousands of lives? How many families owe so much to Hatzalah for the precious neshamas that they saved, that we saved? Is it not Mesiras Nefesh to the highest degree that we all have? Is this not a Kiddush Hashem for all of Klal Yisrael?
From ABC News headquarters in New York, this is World News.
Israel at war. Israelis have nowhere to go. Many of them are living tonight in bomb shelters as Hezbollah rockets rain down around them.
Hezbollah has fired 3,500 rockets at Israeli civilians, more than 700 at Kiryat Shmona alone. And there's no let-up. With the people complaining they can't take it anymore, the government is evacuating the city.
A nation under massive attack. Israeli citizens crying out for help. And then a tower of light. Out of the darkness emerged Rabbi Yitzchok David Grossman of Migdal Or, who saw the tears of his brothers and sisters. 24 hours a day, from one bomb shelter to the next, Rabbi Grossman replaced fear with promise and hope. Rabbi Grossman saw destruction everywhere, homes destroyed, nowhere for families to return. In the streets, he saw a living nightmare, unimaginable pain and suffering. Katyusha rockets exploding everywhere, the streets of the northern part of Israel totally unsafe, and Rabbi Grossman's life always in constant danger, but still he showed everyone how to be strong.
Adonai Melech! Adonai Melech! Adonai Melech! Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed!
And quickly, Rabbi Grossman's life-saving plan of action began. It started with the children. He took over 10,000 children out of bomb shelters, and miraculously, with a dedicated Migdal Or staff of over 900, he organized emergency summer camps in safe locations all across Israel.
The philosophy from Judaism is V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your brother like you love yourself. If somebody has a problem with his child, is ready to do everything in this world to save his child. The same feeling you must to have when you walk with your brother's child.
And the extraordinary kindness of Rabbi Grossman was strongly felt even by the Israel Defense Forces on the battlefield of Lebanon.
This is exactly the image of Israel's mighty army that Hezbollah wants the world to see. Wounded Israeli soldiers rushed from the battlefield one after another. Fresh from the fight inside South Lebanon, where Israel suffered its heaviest day of casualties yet at the hands of the Lebanese guerrillas. The wounded were brought from the battlefield in tanks, rushed back across the border to waiting ambulances. A frantic effort to save lives that took its toll on some.
Our heroic Israeli soldiers fighting a fierce battle with a dangerous and vicious enemy. But the casualties of war broke the hearts of many soldiers on the way to the battlefront. Rabbi Grossman, urgently in contact with the Ministry of Defense, requested that soldiers on their way to Lebanon should stop by at Migdal Or. And so it was. It was an awesome sight to see generals with their army divisions encamped at Migdal Or. Israeli soldiers from all walks of life truly felt the love and warmth of a caring father as Rabbi Grossman touched their hearts with heartwarming encouragement, giving them the strength to enter into battle.
I believe the education in Migdal Or is very important because soldiers that have knowledge about the history of Israel can be stronger fighter.
defenders of the land of Israel, brave and proud soldiers, products of Migdal Or. Migdal Or, guardians of the future, standing at the forefront, building the future of our youth. It was the vision and dream of Rabbi Grossman almost 40 years ago when he came to the northern part of Israel and changed the lives of thousands of Israeli youth. Children and adults who were lost to the streets, dropouts from life, orphans, abandoned, abused, without functioning homes, growing up in bars and discotheques. These were their so-called homes, as they would gather together in search of drugs and alcohol, which ultimately would lead them to a life of crime. Like a loving father, Rabbi Grossman cared for them. He touched their hearts like no one had before, and miraculously, they began to change. But that wasn't enough. Rabbi Grossman had to save the children before they too would turn to drugs and crime. It was then where a legend began. From 18 children, a magnificent empire was born. Migdal Or today has over 6,500 children, including immigrants from all parts of the world, ranging from infants to adults. Migdal Or is the tower of light that has brightened the future for tens of thousands of deprived boys and girls for the past 38 years. With Rabbi Grossman standing at the forefront, Migdal Or has become the pioneering institution that has redefined the method of reaching out to neglected children. Migdal Or, inspiring thousands of children with the true values of everyday life.
What is proper education? Proper education is good manners, how you speak at home, how you honor your father and mother, how you speak to your friend. Proper education is helping one another.
Our nation has been devastated by the tragedies of war. Thousands of families have become broken and torn apart. How many more lives have been shattered? Today, how many tears are being shed because children don't have a loving father or mother? Who will care for thousands of children when families have no home to return to? This is the sacred mission of Migdal Or and Rabbi Grossman, to be stronger than ever before, where each and every child, where each and every family and every Israeli soldier is of great concern to Rabbi Grossman and Migdal Or.
But with all the good that we do and takes place in the world, we are still surrounded by enemies who wish to annihilate us. Enemies who have one goal in mind, the destruction of our nation. But still, we survive because Klal Yisrael, always attacked and surrounded on all sides, totally outnumbered, but still we, the holy nation of Hashem Yisbarach, have always been able to survive in so many times of unending, horrific tragedies. So how is it that today we are stronger than ever before? What is that powerful, indestructible weapon that we have and protects us at all times? Tefillah. There is absolutely no power on earth that can stand up against the tears of our tefillah. And what about the story of 300 Jews who were praying on the day of Yom Kippur when in rushed the German soldiers to arrest them, placing them all in jail until they were all sent to Siberia to slave labor camps? Yes, what is the miraculous story that a 95-year-old grandfather is able to tell his grandson today?
Most things that people say to me just seem to slip my mind. Oh, but the suffering and painful times that were in years long gone are still as clear upon my memory as the numbers on my arm. What will become of all the memories? Are they to scatter with the dust in the breeze? Who will stand before the world knowing what to say when the very last survivor fades away? When I hold my grandson close to me and his fingers trace the pattern of my tears, he asks me, "Grandpa, tell me, why do you cry? What is it that you fear?" And I tell him there once was another child who smelled as sweet and felt this warm, but he was taken from before my eyes, and only I remain to mourn. What will become of all the memories? Are they to scatter with the dust in the breeze? And who will stand before a world that now wishes to deny? Or will they believe in someone who never heard the cries? Say or do to make things change. Time has a way of passing by so fast, and like a fleeting shadow, no one will recall the faces of the past. What will become of all the memories? one thought gives me comfort. It's all that I have left. Oh, I know that God in heaven won't forget.
I will never forget that Friday afternoon when my son Avrumi found my father standing all alone by the cemetery. There they were, grandfather and grandson, 1 hour before Shabbos, standing together side by side, staring into the cemetery. And with tears in his eyes, my father began to tell Avrumi a story from the days of the Holocaust, of how Klal Yisrael always looked up to Avinu Shebashamayim with unending emunah and bitachon. It was a story of Mesiras Nefesh of the past, and how we should understand how the Jews of yesteryear gave up their lives al Kiddush Hashem, so that we, the Jews of today, should exist.
A terrible destruction. An all-out war against Hashem, His Torah, and His people. A time in which millions of Jewish men, women, and children were killed al Kiddush Hashem. It was 1939 and the Nazi beast exploded upon the world with a destructive power never seen before. It was a hatred so blind, in the end, the Germans did not even care about winning the war. Instead, they poured their money and power into killing as many Jews as they could. Anyone who saw their fury had to know this was no ordinary war against an ordinary enemy. It was a battle against Hashem's people and all the goodness and Kedusha we represent. Our enemies took aim against our shuls, destroying and burning them to the ground. They desecrated our Sifrei Torah. They exiled us from our homes and packed us together in ghettos where food was scarce and disease everywhere. They forced us to use our last shreds of strength to serve them with slave labor. Day after day, they rounded up entire communities at gunpoint, forcing them into hot trains that would take them to the concentration camps. With little food or water and hardly a breath of fresh air to breathe, many died before they got to their horrifying destination. In everything our enemies did, their goal was to humiliate us and cause us to feel alone, cut off from Hashem's protection. They were times that demanded higher levels of Mesiras Nefesh than most people would ever consider possible. And yet people rose to this unthinkable level, turning their lives over to Hashem with dignity and honor, despite the enemy's best efforts to defeat their spirit.
So you see, Avrami, grandfather is a survivor of the Holocaust, a survivor who saw what we could never understand. He was there to witness the greatest tragedy of our generation. But you know what else grandfather saw? He saw unimaginable achdus. He saw togetherness from Jews who were about to be slaughtered. Grandfather saw our nation giving up their lives, not just for the love of Hashem, but for the love of a fellow Jew and for today's generations who are alive because of the sacrifices of 6 million Jews. And till this very day, with all our strength, we must serve God and love a fellow Jew with an unconditional love. And then, Avrami, Hashem can look down upon us, His beloved children, who, with our tears and sincere prayers, and with shalom and achdus, we can bring Moshiach, hopefully, in our days. How do we understand what took place when Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim? How is it possible that after a Jewish nation sees firsthand the Yad of Hashem, the mighty power of God, after all the unimaginable 10 Makkahs, the 10 plagues which brought the entire Egyptian nation to their knees, how could Klal Yisrael, after witnessing the splitting of the Red Sea, miracles of miracles, how after seeing that glorious day of Har Sinai, how could they then have the ability and go make an Egel Hazav, a golden calf, and place aside all the Nisim v'Niflois, which saved millions of Jews? Dear friends, as I heard from my Rav, Harav Leibel Katz Shlita, till this very day, we Klal Yisrael are still being punished for that Aveira, for the sin of the Egel, for worshiping the golden calf. Hashem did not give out His full punishment on Klal Yisrael on that day, because it would have been a punishment that we would have never have been able to survive and recover from. It would have been the end of Klal Yisrael forever. But instead, in every generation explained by the Rav, Hashem still gives us a slight punishment for this Aveira, so that we can handle it and still be able to continue on in life, to do the Rotzain Hashem, to do the will of God. So why, till today, are we paying the price for such a horrible Aveira? The answer, unfortunately, is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara, how powerful it is to make us believe that he is our friend and then he stabs us right in the heart. No rachmanis. And makes us lose our mitzvahs and ultimately our olam haba. Maisa Egel, how the Satan on that day, how he must have been laughing it up to see that he made millions of Jews and generations after to pay a heavy price till this very day. So why? Why am I standing here before you today? What is the connection of what took place in the Midbar thousands of years ago to what is taking place in our days? Yes, we are still being fooled by the Yetzer Hara. And it's more now than ever before, because Mashiach is so very close, and the Yetzer Hara does not want Klal Yisrael to have it. He will do anything in his power to make us have machlekes. Because when there is machlekes, oh, are we committing so many more aveiros? Lashon hara, Meitzi Shemra, jealousy, Einos Devarim, and the list of aveiros go on and on and on. It's not worth it. You spoke Lashon Hara, you destroyed the person you said it to, and you destroyed yourself. You lost all of your schusim. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Are you able to take the Lashon Hara to the bank for a big deposit? No. Lashon Hara could wipe you out. At a time that our nation is ever so close to see the days that we have cried out for, Mashiach, we are seeing so many tragedies, stories that are ripping our nation apart. We are all dazed when a phone call comes in and you're told of a tragedy that just took place, and your reply is, oy vey, we need Mashiach. Is that how we are going to get Mashiach to come? Is that our battle cry? How we are going to get redeemed? Is the Geula coming any closer because we're walking around on the street saying, it's the time? Mashiach has to come soon? Or do we have to do something to earn that great day of salvation? Tefillos. Changing our ways. Kind words. No more. No more Einos Devarim. Becoming better Jews. Males, females, everyone. What can be the prescription to finally have Mashiach? To follow the Derech HaTorah. And like Ramatis Yo Solomon Shlita said, just do that one small little thing that will bring back the Beis HaMikdash.
All one needs to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash is to take away the cause of its destruction. You don't need anything extra. Some people think you need terribly big Averas to make Chorav, to destroy the Beis HaMikdash. And on the other hand, you need so many schusim, so many extra merits in order to build the Beis HaMikdash. And Chazal are telling us that's not true. To build the Beis HaMikdash, the only thing we need to do is to remove the cause that destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. And as soon as that is put right, Beis HaMikdash will be built.
Do we want to wait till the year 6000 for Mashiach? Or do we get together now, and find the missing link? Are we crying hard enough with tears for Mashiach? Are the gates of tears in Shemayim, in heaven, being slammed enough with our tefillos and our tears? Are the gates still standing, or do we need more and more heart-rending tears? So what can we do today to bring Mashiach so much closer? Within the walls of our yeshivas, we are taught how to guard and protect our sacred Mesorah. Our children, they learn the character traits, the midos, that will mold Klal Yisrael as the nation of Hashem Yisborach. For it will be the children who will play a big role to bring Mashiach in our days.
Boys, so we see from this story the destructive power of jealousy. It could lead to so many harmful aveiros, which can destroy a family's life. Today, more than ever before, the signs of Mashiach are so clear to Klal Yisrael, and we want the building of the third Beis Hamikdash in our days. So remember, boys, jealousy, it leads to so much Lashon Hara. And we don't want to lose our Olam Haba, as stated in the Medrash. And we don't want to give up our mitzvahs to anyone. Yes, that's what happens when you speak Lashon Hara.
Rabbi.
Chaim, is everything okay? What's the matter? Chaim, did I say anything wrong to hurt you? So Chaim, what's the matter?
How can I tell Rabbi? How would Rabbi be able to help me?
Yes, how much help do we all need when so many homes throughout the world are on fire due to jealousy and Lashon Hara? How many homes are burning out of control?
So remember, jealousy, it leads to sinas chinam and Lashon Hara.
You lose your Olam Haba. It's not worth it. But how do I tell him?
Boys, so we see from this story the destructive power of jealousy. It could lead to so many harmful aveiros, which can destroy a family's life.
Destroys a family's life? No, I can't let that happen.
Chaim, you have to tell me what's bothering you. Did I say anything that hurt you? And we don't want to lose our Olam Haba, as stated in the Medrash. And we don't want to give up our mitzvahs to anyone. Yes, that's what happens when you speak Lashon Hara.
Rabbi, you will never understand.
I don't really care. I want that car tomorrow at work. If Moshe could have a business car, then I could have a car as well. No, I'm not jealous. I deserve it, that's all. And you know what Moshe did last week? Well, let me tell you something that's going to make you think twice about Moshe. Do you know that he told me about
Chaim, is that your father? Now I understand.
Rebbe, I love my father very, very much.
Yes, Chaim, I know you do, and I'm sure that he's a very, very good father.
Rebbe, is there a way to get back your Olam Haba and mitzvahs?
Yes, Chaim, with the proper teshuvah.
Don't give pain to a fellow Jew. Put an end to machlekes. Speak not harmful words to one another. Shalom! Make peace with your fellow Jew. Achdus. Ahavas Yisrael. The ingredients to live a life of joy and happiness. The elements for us to bring Mashiach in our days. And we can do it.
That's Moshiach. We're going to gather us together. The Achdus. They're going to bind Klal Yisrael. It's just going to be because there's not going to be any cause for kinah. And once there's no cause for kinah, there's no sinner. And once there's no sinner, there's Achdus. And once there's Achdus, there's Av. That's Yemois HaMashiach.
But still, there is one more extraordinary thing that we can do to have a great chance to see Mashiach in our days. Please, Klal Yisrael, please, I beg of you, let's do something that will not only be an historical achievement for ourselves. My dear friends, let us say together, right now, this very moment, together in unison with Achdus, let us all say together, I am moichel, everybody that I am in machlekes with. Please, Klal Yisrael, we are gathered here by the thousands throughout the entire world, and such an opportunity to be moichel thousands of Jews can shake heaven and earth. Let's do it for our children, for our grandchildren. Let's do it for our bubbies and zaydis. Let's do it for the Kadeshim, the 6 million who gave up their lives, al Kiddush Hashem, so that we may live in the future. Let's cry out now within ourselves and within our hearts and ask the Rabbeinu Shalom, to ask the Rabbeinu Shalom to see our tears. And in all probability, Hashem Yisbarach will be crying along with us. His bond with us will be ever so close. This could be the time that Hashem Yisbarach can look down upon us and say, Kindalach, Kindalach, my dear precious children, this is what I was waiting for. Mechila, Shalom, Achdus. And now I can give you Mashiach, Bekorov Mamish, real soon in our days. Klal Yisrael, Lashon Hara, Moitzi Shemra, Oinos Devarim, jealousy, it's not worth it. It must be a thing of the past.
And what we have to do is realize, though, that Kina is Golus. It's a product of Golus. It was the cause of Golus. And it gets worse in the Golus as the Golus goes on, until we come to our Seichel, and we hear that cry of the Chofetz Chaim, Bad Mosai Nieh Bagoyle. How long is it going to go on for? Why aren't we doing anything about it?
Klal Yisrael, please say it together with me. These words. Say it now. I am Moichel, everybody who I am in machlokes with. Say it now and trust me. Please trust me. You're going to walk out of this place today with smiles all over your face. You're going to feel like a new person, but you have to mean it. It's got to be real. Your mechila has to be sincere. And tomorrow, you're going to tell all your friends what happened at this event. It's going to spread like wildfire. And all over the world, there will be a ripple effect of people being meichel each other. And it was all because of you here today.
When Jews are meichel one another, Hashem, the Rabbeinu Shalom himself, sends down to the world a special broche, a special mazel for everyone, for Klal Yisrael. When Hashem sees that we are meichel one another, and we live b'shalom with one another, we are not in machlokes with one another, then He will be meichel all the chatoim that we have.
So please, if you didn't say it yet, say it now. Let's do it for the great love that we have for our families. Because we don't want any more of this golus. Let's do it for the love for Hashem Yisbarach. Because we are His dear, precious children. And Hashem loves us so dearly. And let's do it so we can finally see Mashiach speedily in our days.
Today, we have seen only a fraction of the spectacular creations that exist and surround us throughout the four corners of the earth. The awesome power of the Ribbono Shel Olam, the godless, the greatness of Hashem Yisbarach is ever so present every second of each and every day, and we see it before our very own eyes. friends, is there anything in this world that Hashem, that God, cannot do? Are we the Jewish nation who have always seen the hand of Hashem doing wondrous miracles for His precious children? Tears, so many billions of tears, as we hear the stories of machloikes, of bitter fighting among fellow Jews and family members. Did you ever wonder why hospitals are today the second home for so many Jewish families? Don't we realize that our fighting destroys the mazel and bracha, destroys the blessings of our entire nation? Today, non-stop tragedies plague our people because there is a lack of peace and harmony, a decline of brotherly love in the world. Is this the way that one day, God forbid, we can see a family member's life tragically be turned around as a result of our anger and arguments? How many precious, innocent lives become the victims of untold pain and suffering because fellow Jews and family members just don't want to make compromises in money matters or business deals? Make no mistake that communities around the world have been devastated with tragedies as a result of the fighting and the bickering of fellow Jews. Yes, fighting which leads to Lashon Hara, Motzi Shema, jealousy, and so many other averas causing great Chilul Hashem. Don't we have emunah and betachon in Hashem that through our sincere effort to make shalom, to make peace, to forgive a fellow Jew, Hashem can restore to Klal Yisrael all that we wish to have in life, health, wealth, and true happiness? And now, let Jews around the world from all walks of life show Hashem the godless of His chosen nation. Let us all strive together to begin a new chapter in our lives by joining forces in a show of unity, achdus, like never seen before. If Hashem sees that we are trying to improve our ways, if Hashem watches us put aside our differences towards one another, if thousands of Jews will be moichel, forgive someone who they are in machlokes with, will Hashem not look down upon His beloved children and grant us forgiveness?
When Jews are moichel one another, the Rabbeinu Shalom Himself sends down to the world a special broche, a special mazel for everyone, for Klal Yisrael. And Hashem sees that we are moichel one another, and we live b'shalom with one another. We are not in machlokes with one another. Then He will be moichel all the chatoim that we have.
And that love for shalom and achdus is now taking shape throughout the entire land of Eretz Yisrael, as we see thousands of Jews once lost from Yiddishkeit now wanting to return to live a life of Kedusha. Truly a miracle and a prophecy being fulfilled in our days as children and their families lovingly want to accept Torah and mitzvahs as their way of life. In closing, let me share with you just one of many messages left on my answering machine to show you the unbelievable power and accomplishments of Tears for Moshiach.
Mr. Borger, I was last night by the showing of Tears for Moshiach, and I just wanted to let you know how moved I was. In the middle of the film, I looked across the room and saw a friend of mine, who now I was in Machlokes with. I slowly walked across the auditorium, sat down next to her, and we began to hold hands tightly. As we then continued watching the film, we began to cry, especially when we saw how much the audience was trying to control their emotions, as we saw so many others cry as well. I just wanted to let you know this, because after the film was over, we both were marchal each other as we embraced each other with tears flowing down our eyes. We hugged each other with true sincerity, and it was all because of your amazing film, which everyone throughout the world must see. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for what you have done for me and for what you are doing for Klal Yisrael. Thank you so much. Hatzlacha to you. All the best. Be well. Bye-bye.
With our Avas Hashem and our Avas Yisrael, let us all be zeicha to see the speedy arrival of the Geula Shalema in our days. Please email the video link for this production to as many friends that you can. Klal Yisrael is in desperate need for so many zechusim.